Plan's dead simple, lads. We go right up the middle, give 'em some Dakar on the way in, then get stuck in and give 'em some boot lever once we reach the trenches. Anyone don't like it, I'll kick your teeth in, got it?
Warboss Nurgok, noted orc strategist. Orc warbosses are the largest and most powerful of all the orcs in their tribe. Bloodthirsty and battle-hardened warriors, they are equipped with the best war gear that mechs can provide, and tower above the majority of greenskins. A warboss achieves and maintains his position of power purely because of his size and prowess in the savage arts of war. Though some warbosses are cunning enough to plan a battle before the bullets start flying, it is on the front line that they truly excel. When the conflict is raging, these monstrous orcs give full rein to their battle lust, charging into the ranks of the enemy and slaughtering everything in their path. The warboss becomes a living embodiment of orcdom and commands respect and fear from all who behold him. Particularly dominant warbosses rise up to become warlords. Army upon army will flock to the banner of a prominent warlord until he commands a horde of terrifying size. An orc can rise to such exalted heights by showing no mercy in battle, as well as by brutally oppressing his lessers. Above all, greenskin leaders rise to the position of warlord through a combination of bestial cunning, violence, and deafeningly loud shouting, with intellect far from being a prerequisite for great power amongst the orc race. In fact, many a warboss is as thick as a bullgrox, and will find subordinates to attend to the mundane tasks of battlefield organization, such as knowing the whereabouts of the enemy and remembering to bring spare ammunition. A warboss is always intimidating in his war panoply, as a fierce appearance is essential when ruling with an iron fist. He will claim the lion's share of the spoils of war, even if it means strangling a few Deathskull scavengers who have got to them first. Greenskin leaders often ride at the head of their armies, transported within clanking great battle wagons, covered in personal glyphs and banners. On the rare occasions that a warboss is not asserting his status by breaking heads, he will hold court in a cavernous and foul-smelling hall, seated on a garish throne, and surrounded by his nobs and drinking cronies. Captured war banners hang above the warboss's seat of power, each tattered and stained with the blood of those who once bore it into battle. It is from this lofty perch that the warboss rules, glowering and yelling at his lackeys as he makes his grand plans of conquest and slaughter. Orcs judge the worth of a warboss by the quantity and quality of the enemies he has overcome, and the martial trophies he has claimed from their corpses. These not only impress all who gaze upon them, but double up as handy blunt instruments with which to bludgeon anyone who draws the warboss's ire. Warbosses often adorn their thrones and trophy racks with the skulls of rival orcs, but as their reach extends beyond their original territories and into the stars, the warboss has a far wider range of enemies to conquer. He will take great pleasure in twisting off the heads of his hardiest foes and displaying them for all to see, with Space Marine helmets especially occupying pride of place on a warboss's trophy rack. To display the remains of the finest warriors of humanity in this way is a great testament to a warboss's prowess and right of leadership. Furthermore, Space Marine helmets come in a variety of bright colors that are irresistible to the more ostentatious of warbosses. Big, green, and extremely mean, knobs lord it over the rank-and-file boys. Whether riding to war in a smog-trailing battle wagon, barreling headlong into the enemy lines with choppers swinging, or clanking forwards in massive suits of mega armor, they are ferocious and resilient fighters whose assault can turn the tide of an entire battle. The orcs call their ruling caste nobs. Orc nobility is determined not by birth or a sparkly heirloom, but by sheer size and belligerence. Nobs delight in using their scarred fists and iron-shod boots to remind lesser greenskins of this fact. Nobs often form a bodyguard for their warboss, and should the warboss fall, the largest of this entourage will take his place, after kicking in some heads to restore order, of course. Other nobs prefer to lead mobs of orcs who they can boss around with impunity. Arrogant in the extreme, nobs revel in cruel and casual violence, delivering on-the-spot punishment to any lesser orc, Gretchen, or snotling who annoys them. This punishment normally takes the form of a hefty whack on the head from a blunt instrument. Should the crime be a serious one, however, such as forgetting to bring the nob's breakfast or reload his prize shooter, the blow will be administered with the business end of a chopper. Alongside sheer body mass, decent weapons and armor are signs of high status amongst greenskins. No ordinary orc is allowed to keep war gear better or more prestigious than that of his tribe's nobs, and will quickly have such items confiscated. As such, nobs are usually equipped with a bewildering variety of killy stuff. All nobs love to flaunt truly powerful guns, for example, and the richest can afford the much-feared combi weapons and custom shooters. Weapons capable of reducing everyone in their vicinity to bullet-riddled corpses or steaming piles of gore. Their tastes in melee weapons are equally as extravagant, with chain-bladed choppers and hydraulic power claws being most popular of all. Orc veterans who value the thrill of close combat above all else often become meganobs. They are characterized by their clanking suits of mega armor and by a dogged belief in their own invulnerability. A suit of mega armor comprises massive metal plates welded onto a piston-driven exoskeleton that boosts the wearer's strength to monstrous levels. Each suit of mega armor is individually tailored by one of the tribe's mechs, who makes a great fuss of taking the customer's measurements before just hammering together whatever he has to hand. The end result is nevertheless a spectacular creation, a brutal suit bedecked with trophies and kill markings, equipped with either the meganob's favorite shooter and a deadly set of limb-snipping shears, or a pair of roaring kill saws. Mega armor is the ultimate status symbol. Meganobs see themselves as the elite warriors of the orc tribe. Though other orc nobs sometimes mock their better-armored brethren for going into battle with so much protective wargear, they do not do it within earshot, for a rampaging meganob is an unstoppable opponent, and having an arm or two scissored or sawed off is a setback even for the toughest nob. On the field of battle, meganobs form clanking mobs of heavily armed killing machines. Each meganob weighs at least a ton, for unlike the armorers of the Imperium, the orc mechs prefer quantity of material over quality. Though this slows the meganob's advance to the front line, the sheer impact of their combined charge is enough to crush most troops into a bloody paste. While the meganob's immense bulk can be used to fearsome effect, it can also be a weakness. It is not uncommon to see a meganob's comrades straining to get him back on his feet after a direct hit from enemy ordnance. Such is the resilience of greenskin engineering and physiology that the orc in question will quickly be back in the fray, ready to wreak his bloody revenge.